welcome to the Beefy Boys UFC 303 Prelims Recap, episode 174 of the pod. We're one of the only shows out there going over every single fight on every single card, including the prelims. That's why you should hit subscribe.
Yes,
Man, starting off, we're going to start at the end and work our way back because that's kind of like the order of how good these fights were, honestly. Joe Pyfer, minus 310. Power bar, Barriault, plus 250. Man, we had a ticket on Pyfer by KO at plus 140. Our only ticket that cashed, if we're being honest. But hey, it's a lot better than getting blanked.
Yeah.
And I mean, it made sense. Pyfer, insane athlete, insane power. Barriault, a little chinny and a little old. Made a lot of sense. I love the plus 140 value there. And man, we didn't have to wait long. There wasn't much sweating on this one, was there?
No, absolutely not. Official fight linked here is going to be 1 minute
125.
125,
yep.
Round one. Effectively, though, I mean, it's kind of a feeling out process for a minute, 15 seconds, and then Pyfer lands a big right, kind of wobbles power bar, and it's a right that's just like right on the temple. It's just a clean hook. Wobbles him. Then puts him down with a nasty right that kind of like looks like clips the back of the head as powerbar is trying to lean forward and dodge it, but isn't fast enough.
It was like a crow cop kick in like punch form.
Right. Yeah,
You know
just
what I mean?
wrapped
Like-
the back of the head and just kind of like clubbed the whole back of his head, dropped him, and then Joe Pyfer is not
like
one.
That was crazy. Like it didn't land that clean as what I'm getting at. It kind of like
It was like a club. Like he like clubbed him with his
Yeah.
forearm and his like thumb almost.
it wasn't like it was perfectly timed on the butt and like no, dude. Like Piper's power is insane.
Yeah, he has power for days. Like it's actual nuclear power. Like because if you like to your point, how fast is he swinging his arm to where his forearm bone as a club on the temple is enough to like sit him down right there?
Yeah, and then the follow-up shot.
The
was
follow-up shot, like
brutal.
Allie was like sitting behind me when we were watching it, and she was just like, "Oh my god!" As soon as he hit him like that, and I was like, "Ooh!" Like
Yeah,
it was
I
like a
believe
clean
Nina
like
was concerned.
oh, and it was like downward too. Like Pyfer was standing, it was like behind him, just hooked to the ground. It was ooh.
Doing my happy dance because I needed to win so bad.
Me
at that
too.
Point.
Me
I
too.
didn't give a fuck about Barriault in that moment. I needed to hit. God, I'm such a degenerate gambler, but like God, I needed that. I needed that so bad.
It's so
Like,
true
I had, like,
though.
I had a pile full of like dead parlays sitting next to me. I was like, "Fuck, I needed that." Dude.
You're just
I
looking
did
at
it. It
tickets,
wasn't
just
sweaty.
Just could light him on
Yeah.
fire. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah, fucking dead parlay sitting next to me like I'm in a field in fucking Ukraine.
Oh my god.
Dude, it was brutal day out there for the troops. But man, 120, a minute 25 second. Like it wasn't even the cleanest right hand. Just sits him down, and then the brutal Ngannou level fucking follow up shot.
I mean,
man, this is exactly how we saw
power bar,
this one.
flatlined him too. Like put him face
And
down.
like, I have a solid level of respect for power bar. Like honestly, I think it was one of those situations where I didn't really move power bar down in my rankings because I had him pretty accurately ranked. It was just like a lot lower than Pyfer. And then Pyfer, man, I moved him up to 19 in my power ranking. I jumped him over Kevin Holland. I really do think he's just like, especially at 85. At 85.
I think he puts Kevin Holland out. I hate to say that, but
That's why I don't want Kevin Holland at 85. He doesn't need to be going with those guys.
I agree.
But ironically enough, and tell me how you feel about this, I have a feeling you'll agree. As a wrestler, I do have him behind Bo Nickel. I have Bo Nickel at 18. Like I think that'd be a tough matchup.
Yeah. I think Bo Nickel is problems for Joe Pyfer. As powerful as he is, I think Bo Nickel just immediately just feints, shoots.
Just ducks under that big right.
Yeah, right. And it's not even a question. So
yeah, agreed. We saw it the same way there. And then, but yeah, a lot of respect on Pyfer. Performance of the night bonus. And I gotta say, like, Pyfer, seemingly to my kind of untrained eye, learned from the Hermanson loss. Like he was very measured. I know it's hard to say he was patient in a fight that lasts a minute and 25 seconds, but he didn't like shoot out of the gates like a wild man. Like even the shot he landed, like he wasn't just winging bombs and like wasting energy. Like it was kind of like measured and thought out and like well timed and like I don't know, like I thought he was kind of efficient. I know, like I said, a minute 25 seconds. It's not like I'm saying he proved the gas tank and all that. What I am saying is that he wasn't really wasting energy, and he did seem to like fight at a more reasonable pace.
I thought he looked good. I mean, it's a minute 25, so as far as like hard to know if he was, because he could have flurried at any point in round one and then gassed himself out, and then the pacing's out the window. It's easy to pace yourself for
But he didn't.
minute. I mean, 1 minute's easy to pace yourself for. Is my point. Like you're barely starting the fight. Like he was throwing check strikes and knocked him out with them.
But even like there was a point where he hurt power bar. He didn't go all crazy and fucking like I'm not even talking about the finishing sequence. The sequence before that where he kind of stunned power bar. I feel like a younger Pyfer would have lost his fucking mind and swarmed him.
Yes and no. I don't know. I'm not going to give him too much credit for it just because it's so early in the fight. It's so early in the fight. If it was later in the fight and I could have more sample size, but there's such a lack of sample size that I can't say pace.
Okay, that is more than fair. And I got to say, I think I know the fight I want to see next for Pyfer. My boy Kopylov. I think that's a heater.
Kopylov Pyfer needs to be signed immediately. That needs to be signed immediately. No questions.
Yep,
especially after Kopylov survived against a power striker already. So it's already in his wheelhouse to say like, I don't know why you would doubt me in this fight. Now, who am I taking? Probably Joe Pyfer. That power seems very real, man. Like Hermanson might have been veteran savvy enough to avoid it, which he's so good at doing. Hermanson's hard to finish.
Well, and Hermanson's like captain of the game plan and the veteran savvy.
And like the wrestling, like he will put a singlet on and literally go fight in a singlet. He's happy to do it.
Great cardio, great defense, very smart.
Yeah, zero ego. That's the weirdest thing about Hermanson. That might be his number one tool is that he does not care how he wins and how bad it or snoozy it is.
And also, but like I said, I do think Pyfer learned from that Hermanson fight. A minute 25 seconds. You can say I'm reading too much into it, but like
no, he did. I agree. I saw a lot of differences in this fight from the Hermanson fight. If we want to talk about that, just in comparison fight to fight, he seemed like he grew a lot from the loss. Seemed like he learned. It
was a good loss. I think like early in his career, like he can.
It's
move
one of those
on
losses.
From it.
I think
Hermanson's going to age out.
We might have even said it at the time. Like it wasn't necessarily a fraud check. It was more of just like it's good to get this loss now rather than later.
I agree, and I believe time has proven us right on that one. Now let's keep it pushing to the fight of the night here, even though I don't necessarily agree with it getting fight of the night. I'm glad Cub got his bread. We got
Cub though you didn't.
Yeah, even though I didn't. Thank you. That was the perfect way to summarize that. Cub Swanson, plus 185. I got him at plus 205. Love that value. I had a little straight bet on the Swanson dog. A little homie sweat bet, new segment me and Harrison are doing. And then taking on Andre Fili, minus 225. It's not that I thought Cub Swanson was leaps and bounds better than Fili. I saw this as basically a coin flip, and like the Billy Walters in me was like, I don't think Fili was minus 225 better than Cub Swanson. And
clearly he was
proved
not.
me right. Even though the ticket doesn't cash, I'm not necessarily regretting the bet.
If Vegas could redo the lines on this, Cub Swanson
froze again. Yeah, man, I had a Cub Swanson ticket at plus 205. Like I said, it's not that I thought that he was leaps and bounds better than Fili. I just didn't think Fili was 2-1 better than Swanson. So on a Billy Walters value type of betting approach, I took a flyer on a 1-unit little Cub Swanson straight bet sprinkle at plus 205. And even, hindsight 2020, Fili ends up getting the win here. We get a split decision. I was still kind of proven right. Like, I'm not mad that I placed that ticket. Like, I scored it for Swanson. I think you scored it for Swanson.
Yeah.
A lot of people online scored it for Swanson. Chael came out after the fight and said that he thought Swanson won the fight. I know it's not the most ringing endorsement, but many people scored this fight for Swanson. And I was still kind of right on my assessment that this Fili minus 225 number was insane.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think if Vegas could have it back and redo the odds, Swanson would be maybe plus 100 and Fili would be minus 120.
Yeah, agreed. And that's basically how I saw it. So I wanted to try to capitalize on that gap in the evaluation. And like I said, no regrets on this sprinkle.
That being said, we do have to go round by round. It is a split. And like you alluded to, we both score it for the loser.
Yeah, it was a split. And now, granted, rounds 2 and 3 were very like close, and I think like I have literally the word coin flip on round 3, so I'm not necessarily dying on hills here.
I,
It was kind of refreshing to see a lot of people agreed with me though.
yeah, I was going to push back slightly. I thought two wasn't super close. I mean close, but not like I thought.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
think
two
that's
was.
fair.
I thought maybe two was a little closer than one, but I thought I kind of knew who won both of those rounds. Whereas
I think you're right.
three, whereas three felt like a full coin flip. But my whole takeaway. So it sounds like you scored one to Fili and two to Swanson.
Yeah, round 1 to Fili, he got the knockdown. I mean, basically, that's enough to win the round right there. Round 2, Swanson, he was defending the takedowns. He was pressuring. He was winning the clinch. He had that knee to the head early in the round. Fili landed a few shots, had a little bit of clinch control, but I agree, not enough to win the round. So, yeah, like it all came down to round 3.
Yeah, I've reread my notes here, and and two was closer than I had made it sound there at the start. But
I
albeit
think Swanson won.
I think Swanson won two, and every single judge has two to Swanson in our defense here.
Yeah,
Every single judge has one to Fili. Now that being said, it all comes down to round three. I thought that, in all honesty, Swanson won the damage battle in round three, and Fili won the snoozy, like movement forward, kind of control the position. I thought Fili muddied the fight, which allowed him to win the round, but I thought Swanson won the damage battle.
See, it's crazy. I reached the same scorecard, but I kind of have a different analysis. I may even argue that Fili won the damage battle slightly, ever so slightly. However, he was moving backwards the whole round, and Cub was still having like a good amount of success. So, like, eye test wise, like, I think the damage was basically coin flip 50-50, but the optics of Cub moving forward most of the round, I
Yeah,
don't know. Like I
well,
said, I had a
and
kind of
that's
coin flip round, but like I think the optics, like I think, and most people agree with this. I said on the online, on verdict, on like old Uncle Chael, like I think most people gave round 3 to Swanson. He was moving forward. He was having success. Like he was eating a few shots.
it felt like Fili would move out of the way of the initial shot from Swanson, or not the initial shot, the follow up shots of Swanson, and then he would just kind of clinch him, and then he would be able to snooze it for 30 seconds, disengage. Same thing would happen. I felt like that was the flow of the fight, where Swanson kept moving forward and kept having to battle out of these muddy positions that Fili was forcing because Fili just couldn't win the outright striking battle. That was kind of my takeaway in three, which is why I like Swanson in three. I felt like he was forcing the striking battle to happen and was winning whenever it was a distance and he could control the distance.
Yeah, and then like on a one championship scoring, like the whole fight, Swanson was moving forward, and the whole fight, Feely was moving backwards. And like if you're to win a fight moving backwards, the damage battle, the gap needs to be
It needs to
wide,
be
and the
apparent.
damage,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. The damage was basically coin flip, and one guy was moving forward the whole fight. Like not even like just on a broad stroke. But yeah, Feely gets the win. They get fight of the night. Like I said, no regrets on my Cubs sprinkle. No regrets.
Yeah, I agree with you. As far as,
And the crowd in the building booed the decision. Whenever
yes,
Feely's
that's
hand
a
got
big
raised.
deal. That was a big deal for me too because I felt a lot better about the crowd. Agree. This was a lot of hardcore fans that spent a lot of money to be there, man. This is the McGregor Chandler card, obviously. So people
I feel
that bought
bad for
tickets
those fans.
to terrible card. Like it couldn't have disappointed worse, except for Pereira. I mean, Payton Talbott. There's a couple high points, but like overall, just as a card and what you expected to get versus what you were given. Oh man.
And I may make the argument, I'm going to personalize it real quick. There may not be a sketchier sport to like buy tickets for than live MMA. Like if you buy a ticket to an OU football game or a 49ers football game, for the most part, like what you're getting. I recently just bought tickets to Uriah Faber's A1 Combat, $174 for 2 tickets after fees and all that. And then they cancel the fight, or they move it all the way to Sacramento, from Reno to Sacramento. It's like a 2-hour drive, and they changed the date. And like the plug got pulled on it, and I got my refund, but it just sucks. Like that was like my birthday, kind of late birthday plans. I was looking forward to it. Like buying live MMA tickets, and I know this isn't a ringing endorsement, and I want to support the MMA community, but like buying live MMA tickets, it's a risky endeavor, man. It's a risky endeavor.
I actually went to a live event yesterday during a portion of the prelims. I went up there and watched a buddy fight. Didn't go great for him, but watched the other.
Sucks.
Yeah, watched there were 7 fights before him, so I watched pretty much all of them. Like we walked in at the national anthem unintentionally. Like we were trying to show up later and miss a couple, but just hit it right on the nail in the head. But yes, so opening it was like a jiu-jitsu match, and then like a kickboxing match, and then it was just MMA after that. But like, yeah, man, it's very different in person as well. Would be like the biggest takeaway that I could give anyone is like when you're 25 feet from the cage and you can hear like the shots like landing, shit is different. Like an Apex fight would be so cool to go to.
Yeah, I've been to some smaller shows, man. I've been to some King of the Cage. I've been to some, I forget what they call it, Elite XC, maybe, whatever goes down in Oklahoma City. Back whenever I knew a fighter that was fighting there, and like it is different, but like, I don't argue necessarily in a bad way. I'll say watching an actual war, because that's the thing. Those low level fights rarely make it out of the first round.
Yes,
I'll tell you. Those low level fights, like there's one guy that's clearly better, somebody lands a shot, or somebody's just like those fights. It's very rare that you get like a war. I've seen 2 wars in person. One was the prelims of the King of the Cage. Some like 17-year-old flyweight amateurs. They were so perfectly match made that they went to war. They were flyweights, so they had the cardio even at the lower level.
Nice.
And they went to war for 3 rounds. It was so epic. And then, bro, I went to like a point fighting Muay Thai event in Santa Cruz like 5 years ago. And like they had children fighting. And like these like 8-year-old girls, I shit you not, they went to war. Like, they went to war like Gage and Chandler. It was insane. It was so nuts. Like, these girls were having, like, gut check, come to Jesus moments and just walking through fire. I'm like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. But, yeah, live combat sports, great, but a risky endeavor as far as investing money into. We'll get this train back on the tracks here. We're going to go keep it pushing to Charles Jourdain, Gene Silva. Jourdain, minus 135, finished out. We got him at minus 115 on our parlay. Gene Silva finished at plus 115. You know, we like Jourdain's experience. And I mean, that basically was the whole crux of our Jourdain pick was experience. Now, Gene Silva missed weight, came in heavy at 147 and a half.
Pound and a half, I don't hate too much. That's one of those ones where I'm like, you were trying.
Not the worst, not the best.
Now, repeat offender, that's no good.
That's no good. But I got to say, you know, with the Ricky Simone bet and the Anthony Smith bet, we kind of blamed the fighter. And I think rightfully so. Like, both of those guys shit the bed. I don't think those were the worst picks, even hindsight and all that. Those guys shit the bed. I got to say, I totally slept on Gene Silva, and I had to move him quite a big ways up in my power ranking to make sure that doesn't happen again. The guy has, like, real power. He's
crazy athleticism. His takedown defense is great.
Well, like, experience be damned. This guy's a dog. Like, yeah, he needs to make weight, and maybe he's not top, like, 10 or whatever, but, like, he's a lot higher than I had him ranked. I think I had him in the 50s coming into this, and let's see where I moved him up to. Let's see where I moved old Gene Silva up to. I moved him up to 33. Like, he ain't in the 50s, bro. I don't know how good he is, but he ain't in the 50s.
That's funny. I actually have him at 33 as well. We have him identically ranked, which is like, this is a deep division, so for us to have him on the exact same spot, that's probably a pretty, like, solid ranking we have then, as far as, like, where he sits currently. That's not to say he couldn't beat 25 or 20 as well, though, in the right matchup.
Well, and just getting better and progressing. He's only 3 fights into his UFC career.
And, you know, we talk about fading Fortis. He's a gym I want to essentially bet on. The Fighting Nerds, I want to bet on.
Me too. I added that into my notes. No, 1,000%. You fade Fortis, you bet Fighting Nerds. Dude.
Yes,
like,
sir.
If you're going to take something away from this podcast as a bettor, that's what you should take away from it. But, yeah, man, I couldn't skip him over Damon Jackson, although he could beat Damon Jackson. Just Damon Jackson's body of work, experience, but that's the whole reason why we lost this bet was body of work and experience. So who knows how good Gene Silva really is? Like, I'm about to say, as of now, as we sit today, I didn't feel good jumping him over Damon Jackson, but I did jump him over. I did jump him over Jack Shore. I jumped him over Josh Coleybow. I jumped him over Pat Sabatini. I jumped him over Kyle Nelson. I jumped him over Cub Swanson, who fought on the same card. Like, I jumped him over all those guys.
I'll be honest too. The one thing Silva has that every single one of those guys you just named doesn't is all those guys are pretty much good at everything, but they're not great at anything. Gene Silva's a great athlete, and that's going to go a long way considering he's already good at everything.
Well, what, he's 3-0 with 3 knockouts, right? Is that incorrect? I believe he's 3-0 with 3 knockouts.
Let's see.
In the UFC.
I got it right here. Gene Silva is 3-0, 2 knockouts and a decision.
Okay, yeah, man. I mean, this guy can go, man. This guy can go. And then Jourdain, man, it sucks because he's not bad, but he's officially under 500 in the UFC now. Now, he's had a very hard schedule, but you start to look, and he kind of loses to the good fighters and beats the bad fighters.
He's a
and
koozie.
that's what leads me to believe that Gene Silva's a good fighter, because it's like Jourdain loses the good fighters.
I think Jourdain,
bad fighters.
I think Jourdain, unfortunately for him, man, I was so high on him when he was younger, just because I thought the ceiling was so much higher. I think we have to recognize his ceiling is not what we thought it was. His floor is good, but his ceiling is nowhere to be found, or it has been found and it's very low.
We haven't even gotten to the finish here, man. Gene Silva won the first round, got a knockdown in the first round, so it was very apparent that he had the power. Jourdain was trying to wrestle, couldn't get the takedown. Jourdain was in trouble.
I almost wondered, though, if Jourdain could weather the storm and get to round 3, would Gene Silva wear out? I wondered. That was my only hope as a guy with a bet on Jourdain, I mean to say.
Yeah, and if ifs and nuts were cherries and nuts, the world wouldn't be hungry. But round 2, walk-off uppercut KO. And, man, I'm honestly kind of Gene Silva didn't. Of course, he didn't get a bonus because he missed weight, but this was a bonus worthy kind of caliber highlight. But you miss weight, you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, but I'm saying, like, if you just watch the highlight, you're like, oh, that's like a bonus worthy finish.
I mean, yeah, I totally agree. But,
electric,
you miss
electric.
Weight, you know?
Oh no, 1,000% agree. Yeah, Gene Silva's damn good, bro. Like, I'll be really interested to see how they matchmake. Because there's a lot of guys in the division that are, like, more technical or maybe better wrestlers or better jiu-jitsu, but this guy brings something to the table almost like Joe Pyfer, where, like, he can put you out. You think
they slow play him and make him do, like, a Billy Q or someone and just, like, make him prove it against a guy with a different style? Or
I think they're going to try to give him a guy that they think will beat him, because as like a punishment, right, for missing weight.
Oh, yeah, twice now, too, because he missed against Weston Wilson as well.
So you know what I would do, personally? I would do Pepe Mariscal, Jack Jenkins.
Jack Jenkins would be a pretty good one just because of the style. I think Jenkins with the leg kicks and maybe trying to.
He's the worst guy to fight ever. He's just gonna kick your legs until you die. That's a punishment. Like, that's your punishment for missing weight. You got to eat some Jack Jenkins leg kicks. That's an actual punishment.
Honestly, would be like a legit like tool for the UFC to have. Like, oh, you fucked us. Like, here you go. Here's a Jack Jenkins type guy. Like, he just leg kicks. They just keep leg kickers for that only.
Even if you win, this is gonna suck, and you're going to the hospital.
Right. Like, his Bisping would talk about, like, the foot stomps. Like, yeah, they don't mean much in the fight, but the next day, like, it really sucks to walk.
Sure, man. And man, let's keep it pushing. You see, I got my Nevada Wolfpack shirt on. I'm repping Reno. I'm repping the state of Nevada, Northern Nevada to be specific. 775 stand up. We got Payton Talbott. Man, local Reno skater on the big show, getting talked about, cashing checks and snapping necks. Woo! Let's ball wash Payton Talbot a little bit, shall we? I got my merch literally in the mail on the way. I got the tracking number. It's on the way to the house.
So for everyone at home, DMAC is extremely juiced. This is Payton Talbot taking on Giannis Ghemmouri. Sorry, I just had to give the backdrop there for it. Yeah, no, man. I mean, this guy's legit a star, and we had talked about it before the main card breakdown started, but I mean, this fight's 19 seconds. We're going to spend way more time breaking it down than it actually takes place.
19, dog.
He throws.
They could have been shorter than that. Like, they could have called the fight on the knockdown.
He throws. They should have. Here's what I was going to say is, he throws, technically in my mind, 2 strikes, a jab and a cross, connects both, and the fight's over. Now, the ref forces him to finish him with ground and pound, which is 11 strikes. You know how I know that? Because he landed all 13 of the strikes he threw. He was 13 for 13.
Oh, let's go. That's some Hamza shit, bro. Well, and you know what? Like, people have been making the O'Malley comparisons. Was this not identical to the, like, O'Malley, like, oh, you're going to make me finish him? Okay.
You know
like,
what's,
it was like,
it was just like that. And you know what's even more fucked up? Is in his video to Ghemmouri, he told him, like, you should try to kick my legs. Like, that's your only hope. And then as soon as he throws a leg kick to open the fight, he literally chins him. And it was like, oh, you're an asshole. You're an asshole.
when he released that video on YouTube, I watched it and I was like, is this? I mean, I know you're him, but like, is this a good idea?
Oh, that was
and
a Himothy ass move,
bro. 3D chess,
yeah.
3D chess. Oh my god, what a troll!
Like baited him into the leg kicks on fucking. Oh man, dude, it was so, and it was like a funny video too, like the way he's just breaking it down, like in a like indoor skate spot, just on a whiteboard. I was like, what are you doing?
Bro, so sick, so sick. The most Reno guy. And it's so weird that, like, they always mention Reno with his name. Like, there's a, like, they didn't tell us what Gene Silva's hometown was, or,
Giannis
like, they
Ghemmouri,
didn't, I mean,
couldn't tell you.
But, like, they always mention Reno, because I guess he's the only fighter really on that level from Reno. I guess he stands out, but I feel like yeah, it's crazy.
Bro,
I don't know another fighter tied to a city. Maybe like Nate Diaz and Stockton kind of level of shit.
So when he wins, for him to not, like, he's just never his juice. Like, his personality stays 100% the same no matter what. And so, like, I call it a no-sell, essentially. However, in saying that, it's his biggest key to selling, is that he's so nonchalant about how great he is at fighting. People are going to love that because he cares so much more about other totally different shit that people that are, like, kind of casual, that are kind of in on fighting but like other shit, that like the same shit he likes, which is very different from normal fight fans, he's going to get a very niche base of, like, hardcore fans.
You know what it reminds me of, and not even trying to make this comparison, it's been beaten to the ground, but you know how Sean O'Malley streams gaming, so he has, like, a lot of gaming fans.
Rob
but,
Whittaker,
like,
same way.
Between the skateboarding and just the kind of, like, I guess, would you call it, like, alternative aesthetic?
Personality,
like,
yeah. 100%. Like, you know, septum piercing, painted nails, blacked out tattoos that are just, like, kind of weird, honestly, but, like, they are what they are.
And then, like, I think there's, like, some pole dancing videos going around of it. No, I'll say, I think that shit is kind of oversold. Not even trying to come to his defense, not that he needs it. I just, as somebody who's met this guy in person, he doesn't have, like, a really, like, feminine energy or anything. Like, I think some people have tried to allude online that he's DL or kind of feminine. Like,
you know what I think it is?
He's a dude. Like, he's a dude.
I think he has, like, Marilyn Manson energy. Like, Marilyn Manson slays, like, hot chicks and is, like, a dude's dude, apparently, if you ever, like, talk to people that know him. But the portrayal is that he's, like, this weird, like, intergender guy. And he's not at all.
Like, you meet Payton Talbott, granted, I mean, I'm not saying I'm, like, buddies with him. I met him one time, but you see him around and the Reno skate community, like, he's not, like, an uber feminine guy. Like, he's really not. Like he, yeah.
It almost feels like he has, like, the dark energy. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like Dark Wizards type energy, where it's like you might misconstrue that as intergender or, like, questionable alternative or whatever. But it's just like he's just a different subset of guy.
Yeah. Definitely just kind of different guy, but, like, it makes sense. Like if you put him in the context of a skater, it makes a lot more sense than in the context of a fighter. Like you meet a lot of skaters.
Like, if it was 2006, he'd be emo. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we would refer to him as. And, like, if we were in school with him, like, in high school, if we'd known him, let's just say 6 years ago, and he's a skater, like, we'd be like, oh, he's one of those punk skater emo kids. Like, that's how we would have referred to him as, which is whatever. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, don't misconstrue that for him being, like, potentially gay, or even if he is, who cares? But I'm just saying, like, that's not the vibe I get.
Yeah, exactly. And then also it's like that, to bring it full circle, like, that's very marketable in 2024.
That's
like,
my point. That's my point. Is, like, his alternative sell is what gets him a whole different crowd of fans that aren't typical UFC fans.
And then bringing it, kind of getting this train back on the rails here, gets the performance of the night bonus. And then even bringing it back even more on the rails, like, I rewatched this finish, like, a bunch of times, and I was like, what aren't I seeing here? Like, how is this a finish? Because it looks like the most casual 1-2, like, like there wasn't a lot on it, or at least it appears.
It's perfect.
Yes, it
He
was
lands
well
it
timed,
perfect. It's the
but like,
placement too, though.
yeah, the placement. You're
It's
right though, but I watched it
perfect.
so many times. But like, am I just being a casual? Like, it doesn't look like it's that hard of a punch. Like, I get you, timing and accuracy beat like strength. Like, and
To
maybe I'm answering my own question here,
you know
but
what
like,
it's like to me? It's like the Eddie Wineland O'Malley knockout, where it's just like boom, one shot, perfect placement, and that'll do it. I mean, McGregor has a couple of those in his highlights where it's not like the hardest shot, but it's just like perfect, and you just see a guy just out.
exactly, and like that's why like it's so inevitable to make these O'Malley and
Well,
McGregor comparisons
you know what else I'll say?
with Payton.
You know what else I'll say? Ghemmouri never saw that strike. Even if you asked him what hit him, like if you'd asked him immediately, he couldn't have told you. That's what makes it so devastating. It's
Also,
like he never saw it.
and I'll say this as the Reno guy, since the whole world's ball washing him. Like, Ghemmouri does suck, right?
Yeah, I
This was
mean,
a can crushing of the highest order.
okay, but like Gomez, like we're not the lowest on Gomez, but like, yeah, you're right.
It was like I literally I think I moved Ghemmouri down to my 80th ranked featherweight because he came down from featherweight for this fight.
Listen,
I only have him above Shane Young in his cut. I have him below Manolo Zucchini and Eric Silva. Like, I don't know. I just want to we ball watch. I'm a huge Peyton Talbot fan, obviously, but like I just want to like put things in perspective a little bit. I'll take that on me.
perfect, and we can keep it pushing after this, or we can talk about also who you want to see him fight next. But justified minus 1600, which is damn near impossible to do.
Yeah, that's another fact. Yeah, real quick. I moved Peyton Talbot up to 20 in my power rankings. You know who I couldn't jump him over? Just stylistically, and maybe this is the fight to make, maybe it's not. Rinya Nakamura.
Really?
Silver medal wrestler? We haven't seen Peyton Talbot check that box yet.
I wonder about the timing and the speed. I really do. Like I get
I
McGregor
hope so.
vibes off Talbot striking. I really do, and that sounds crazy to say, but like
I hope
his
so.
timing, his placement is like precision is just when you have that,
No,
it almost doesn't matter. Like Chad Mendez, All American wrestler, like damn near that's Randy Nakamura's level. Like Randy Nakamura, obviously slightly better, I would say, but like yeah, like and
also
McGregor
undefeated, but
dispatched
I'm
him
just
with
saying,
what?
I was just skipping Talbot over all these guys. I was skipping him over Basharat. I was skipping him over Bezkat Almaki. I was skipping him over Rob Font. I was skipping him over another Basharat. I was skipping him over Chris Gutierrez. I was skipping over Marcus McGee.
Oh, now see, here's what I would say is that's the fight to make because that's a super fun
McGee,
fight. Yeah. Oh yeah.
they play a game of skate on the fucking
Yes.
countdown.
Yes.
They play a game of skate on the countdown.
Would be so sick. Like you could main card them if they would do that. I promise you.
Game of skate to build the fight.
That would be
so
fire.
fire. That'd be so fire.
And I kind of like Marcus McGee in that.
In the game of skate or
yeah,
the fight?
Yeah. No.
Skate. No,
yeah.
I feel you. Yeah,
Marcus
Peyton
McGee
Talbot,
is sick.
He's more of a mini ramp skater. Like Marcus McGee, like legit has a bag of tricks.
He's about that life. Like when you sent me that video where he's just working that bag all day long, I was like, damn.
But also, man, like I said, it's not that I'm saying Peyton Talbot wouldn't beat Rinya Nakamura. That was just the guy who was skipping.
I see.
I was
Yeah.
like, pause for pause.
Yeah,
Pause for pause. Like, that's a box he hasn't necessarily checked yet, right? That's all I'm saying.
But at the same time, it's like for me with Nakamura, like I would have trouble saying that he could handle Peyton Talbot on the feet.
Yeah, he better get that takedown. He motherfucking better.
Because if you don't, you lose. Better.
No, 1,000%, bro. But yeah, let's keep it pushing. I actually got to take a piss real quick, but yeah, I'll go ahead and keep it pushing, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep it pushing to this female fight between Jillian Robertson, who Dominic and I both had a ticket on by sub, which, spoiler alert, does not cash, but honestly, it was not a bad bet. She's taking on Michelle Waterson-Gomez in Waterson-Gomez's announced retirement fight. This would kind of be a rule of Dominic and I's, which was crazy for me to have any stars on Waterson-Gomez. I'm so happy I bet on Robertson, so I can say that I actually had money on her. But, yeah, if you're in a retirement fight, we will not bet on you. That's just plain and simple. If we know it's your retirement, if it's announced. If we don't know, can't handle that. But can't help that. But yeah, this fight comes down to Robertson essentially being a much better grappler, Waterson-Gomez being better on the feet, but potentially not being able to defend the takedowns. And then, you also have to consider the age here. Robertson is, I believe, 31 or 30. Waterson-Gomez, 39. So we're talking about you got to fade the age.
And I heard everything you said, so I'm up to speed.
Perfect. As far as round by round, we don't have to. Robertson wins every round. Did you give any 10-8s?
No 10-8s, but it's to the point where I had to justify it. I literally had to write a note about why I didn't give it a 10-8. At no point was the fight like close to being finished. And I know that's like an antiquated view of 10-8s, but it's the same reason why I gave Alex Pereira a 10-8 in round one. It's like that fight was so close to being done. And like there was never really that moment for Jillian. God, there were so many moments though. As somebody who I know you said you had that Robertson by sub ticket, I didn't actually. I fucking weaned out at the last minute, but I was obviously homie sweat bet. I was rooting for you, and there was so many points where she was putting that leg over the head to lock in the arm bar, and she just could never get that arm extended or really kind of make any headway there. So many like close moments, especially in the first two rounds. In the first two rounds, there was probably like 4 different moments where I thought your fucking parlay was going to cash, bro.
Yeah, me too. You know what it felt like a lot to me? And also, which round would you have considered for 10-8? Because the one judge that gave it was Big John's son, Ron, and he gave it round 2.
Sure. That was another one of my problems. Like, I saw some scorecards on Twitter that gave him all 10-8s.
Yeah, 30-24 is wild. That's wild to me. There's not enough damage. There's just not enough damage.
Closer to no 10-8s than all 10-8s. And all the rounds were basically the exact same. So that's why I also struggled to give it 10-8. I'm actually glad you brought that up.
I fully agree. So I have it 30-27 as well.
Me too, yeah.
My only thing being, a 10-8 here is hard for me to give because it's like, if I look at it like a hockey game, right? And you have 3 periods, so very comparable to 3 rounds. Let's say that, in period 1 and 3, the team wins each period by, it's 1-0, and then they win the third period 1-0. They can still dominate the round, but it be 1-0, so it's, a fairly close round or fairly close period. However, they could also score 3 goals in 1 period, and that's a 10-8. I didn't see that, if that makes sense. Like, I saw a lot of 1-0s where one was more dominant than the others.
Yes. There was no moment in the round where the fight was close to being stopped. There wasn't any exorbitant damage as in a big cut. Now, after the fight, Waterson was beat the fuck up with big swelling. And so, like if somebody gave it 10-8, I'm not like calling them out and saying they don't know what they're looking at. But it was 3 like firm 10-9. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's how I feel about it is like, you won each quarter by 7, so you won the game 28-0, and like you can say you dominated, but at the end of the day, like each quarter,
it wasn't 50-0.
Exactly, it wasn't a blowout. Like you didn't kick the shit out of them.
Yeah, and then as far as power ranking Jillian Robertson in the strawweight division, I have her at 16. I jumped her over, I think, Luana Pinheiro and Denise Gomes. I couldn't jump her over Loma Lookboonmee, man. I think that striking would be a problem. Yeah, it'd be a very similar, like, philosophical breakdown as this fight, but Loma Lookboonmee isn't old. She's a savage, and she has beaten wrestlers and grapplers in the past, even as a striker. Loma Lookboonmee, that might be the fight to make. I just don't know that Jillian Robertson, like, wins it. But, hey, if Jillian Robertson passes that Lookboonmee test, if that is what's made, then, like, she can go on a run here in this division, I think.
Here's where I want to push back on that is that we've had her in the UFC for long enough now, and she's been.
But so much of that was at flyweight.
I agree.
She's looked great at strawweight. Like,
I agree.
Almost like a rebirth.
I agree. However, I haven't seen her skill set develop enough. That's my problem. Is that her physical traits are
way better on the feet. She did.
It's just not enough at this point in her career, man. She's 31. I mean, it's time. Like it's pretty much now or never because I think like we have 2 more years of ascent for her, and then it's descent. So especially with the fight
Ag-
mods.
Agreed. So, like, what would you do with her next? I mean, there's a lot of fights. I
No,
don't think you can go
I
wrong.
think Loma's a great matchup. I just wonder that if I mean, are we ever going to see her striking actually like fully take the next step, or is it always going to kind of
No,
be
it
dog
won't.
shit?
No, but I'll say this: I think she's made more progress on her striking than Mackenzie Dern has.
I
Granted, she isn't fighting the same level of girl, but I think I feel comfortable saying that.
I agree. I agree. But
Okay,
Mackenzie
so
Dern
that's
at
my
the same
point.
time has better takedowns.
I don't know if I co-sign that. Like maybe,
Well,
perhaps,
yeah, because Robertson in the fight she loses because she can't get a takedown, she gets beat up. Whereas like Dern almost always is like in on a takedown.
but that's happened to Dern too.
A couple
Against the higher
times, not
level
near as
girls,
many
though.
against way better
Against higher
girls.
level.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think
let's show some
that
respect
might
to
be the
Mackenzie Dern.
fight. That might be the fight.
No, Jillian Robertson has not earned that.
Not yet. Beats me, or maybe even beats like a Ricci. I think that's another fight they can make.
Ricci
Like,
would be a great fight, and I like Ricci a lot in that fight.
see, I'm done betting on Ricci, dude. I think there's been a couple times where we bet on Ricci and came up
I'm
short.
kind of like I mean I know I bet on Robertson, but this whole one-dimensional skill set, I don't love that in today's mixed martial arts world. I don't love a team that can just run the ball.
Yeah, but almost the whole division is one-dimensional. Loma Lookboomy, striker. Angela Hill, striker, slightly more well-rounded out. Keisha Pennington, grappler. Tabitha Ricci, I guess you could say mixed, but kind of
Tisha
mid-mix.
Pennington is definitely a good striker.
Yeah, I don't. But like I said, that's why there's. I do question Jillian Robertson's ceiling, but I do think that if she passed any of those names, like if she gets a win over any of those names, like we got to like take her seriously in this division. I think.
I agree. I also question her like her mentality and personality and approach. Like when I hear in interviews, like she always seems like she has weird social anxiety. I think that's going to play a big role in her getting
No,
big
but
fights.
she's got no, bro. But she has like a pretty dope brand. Like she's been on Rogan. She like has a decent social media following. She posts a lot of like weed and thirst trap content, which like sucks in like numbers. You know what I mean? Like
I
that's
know.
like
I'm saying in person, like she has this like kind of weird like energy in interviews.
yeah. I don't think she's a social butterfly by any stretch of the imagination. But
Well, if you're going to sell a fight card and be the number one person, that's a big effect on you in that week.
I feel you. I just like what's Lupe Godinez's personality in this division? I don't know that matters. Like what's Amanda Hebos's personality?
I'm not
Like,
saying about selling the fight. I'm saying about how it affects them as a person and a fighter in the cage.
Okay. That's a fair point. Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of wait and see, but like, I think top 18 in the world, like for
Oh,
sure.
sure.
But just like, I think the ceiling. I don't think anybody really knows the ceiling. I think you're a little more doubtful than me. I think I'm a little more optimistic.
It's been a lot of time that she's been in the UFC, and we haven't seen her strike and get a lot better. And if we're going to see a progression, it's not going to be like the most progress at the end. It's going to be the most progress at the start. It's a bell curve, you know. So
and
like,
not getting the sub on Waterson when you're a submission artist, like I feel.
and in the position to get it a bunch of times, she had a crucifix set up a few times, didn't get the damage rain down. The killer instinct, I might not quite. It was all right.
I'll push back. She was dropping bows. But let's keep it pushing, I said.
Yeah, no, I'm totally down.
To the worst fight on the card. So, like, that's probably why we weren't in a rush to keep it pushing. Give me Robertson over Buday or Arlovski, like, straight up. Like, this fight fucking stunk. Worst fight since Barza. I think people were saying like worst fight ever, and like that's kind of a casual take, but I think worst fight since Rosa Esparza 2. I think that's fair to say. I mean, do you agree with that take?
John Anik would push back on the worst fight of all time because he named that one.
I didn't even know that one. That made me feel like
I was like,
I'll be honest.
bro, that fight's from like 2010. Like, it was fucking. You'd have.
But
to
I guess we're all
hardest,
casuals compared to John Anik, right?
Right? Yeah. Like, and he's like, well, I called it, so that's why I remembered. It's like, oh, well, okay, it's a lived experience for you, sir. You had to like say these guys' names over and over and talk about how shitty the fight was. Of course, you remember that. But
Beefy Boys era, Rose Carla 2, right? It has to be.
Yeah, or Lewis Ngannou. Lewis Ngannou was hot dog shit.
I do believe that was officially before the Beefy Boys era, but point well taken. That's also on. Yeah, Like Mount Rushmore of bad fights, though. We're talking Mount Rushmore of bad fights, like top 4 bad fights.
It's a terrible fight. Surprisingly, we have to go round by round because it is a split decision. But dude, what a dog shit fight!
In the interest of not dedicating time to this fight, I'll let my cat out of the bag, and I can't wait to hear how you scored it. But mine's pretty straightforward. I do go 30-27 Buday, but like not in like a cool way. Like in a, I don't know, like the clinch knees to the belly, like was basically all I had to score, right? And so I scored it, and like
later in the night,
I don't know, like
I remember they were calling a fight, and they were referenced back to this, and they said that heavyweight clinch earlier, and Anik started like dying laughing. He was like, "I like that you didn't call that a fight."
Like, bro, did you watch the highlights of this Chael Anderson Silva boxing match where it was a straight up spar, right? Like it was a spar.
Maybe
it was a
worse
work.
than that.
It was a work.
It was
a work. It was a work, as Chael himself would say. Like that's what you call in the business a work.
Yeah.
Felt like a work, did it not? Like, did it not feel like a work?
It felt like. All right, so I'll say this. I scored at 29-28 for Buday. I gave 3 to Arlovski begrudgingly. Like, I could have argued 3 for Buday. Sure. Right, yeah, literally. I was like, I literally just thought Arlovski tried to be more active. And neither guy was active. But Arlovski was at least trying more, so I was like, fuck it. I'll give him 3.
Sure. Like,
just wanted to offer that out there.
Fight.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I mean, no, literally, like, for me, Arlovski needs to be done. Like, this should be his last fight. This was terrible.
He is done. Dana cut him.
Well, it doesn't mean he's done fighting, but you know what I mean.
He said that. It's all terrible. So at least we won't have to watch it because we're not going to be watching like KSW or like whatever European promotion he's fighting it. Like he's done in the UFC, but he also released a statement saying like, no, I'm like looking like I'm stoked to like sign somewhere. It's like it's so bad. He should have showed up to fights in a fucking ski mask. He's fucking stealing money. He should have shown up in a fight in a ski mask. I read somewhere that he got paid like $300,000 to show for that bullshit.
Well, yeah, because he's in his I was gonna say he's in his like 20th UFC year, so he gets like the highest level tenure contract. So he gets like $250,000 before he gets like his base like contract pay. So his contract pay that they're like paying him is like $50,000, and then he gets the $250,000 boost for being a tenured vet.
Bro, he's like a fucking he's like an anti-argument for fighter pay. Like when you realize that he's getting paid $300,000 to do that,
you know what? You know what Arlovski is, and this is going to be a sour point. And you know what? Fuck it. Consider this fight done. We're done talking about it. But this is going to be a big point that I do want to get to, and we only have 2 more fights, and I think we have plenty of time for it. So let me ask you this: when you got guys like Arlovski out here and Buday's, essentially, like I know he's young, but fuck him, he's terrible. These guys are collecting shit. These guys are collecting checks, right? We can pay the other fighters more. We don't need a roster this big. I don't need 45 events a year. I'd be okay with 35 to 40 events a year, slightly smaller rosters, and everyone else getting a bigger share of the money.
Yeah, man. It's hard to make the numbers argument at heavyweight because it's already the thinnest division. I have 7 guys in my power rankings, which, by the way, I have Arlovski at 35 after that. But I mean, point well taken. I just don't know if heavyweight's the division to make it. Like, I do think there's like 20 to 30 guys on the lightweight roster.
Bro, you just said it featherweight. You have a guy ranked at 80.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I feel
That's too many guys. What I'm saying.
And a lot of them suck. But I just don't know if heavyweight's the division to make that argument. Like, is my point.
I almost feel
heavyweight needs everybody. Everybody that can fog a mirror, as Chael Sonnen was saying. Heavyweight needs anybody that can fog a mirror.
I don't disagree, but I'm just saying, like, I almost feel like there should be, like, weight, like, division caps of, like, fighters. Like, there should be, like, 60 to a division. Like, that's it. Like, if you're not top 60 in the world, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I think that's fair, or almost like a relegation system where, like...
Right, like, you fight on Contender Series if you're under the 60 ranking.
Yes, and you're, like, literally getting fed to prospects. I think that's the move. I think that's the move. But we've said this before on the pod, where like Contender Series should be like an actual B League, not like just these one-off fights.
Right, and then have 35
is an actual
have 35
like a minor league,
and then have 35 A League events a year, right? So that's pretty much 2 out of every 3 weeks, and then on you have your regular off weeks, Thanksgiving weekend, 4th of July weekend, whatever the fuck you want. But then on your weeks that you would have had UFC events, so it's going to be like 9 or 10 weeks, let's have televised contender series fights with like good fighters, good in quotes, that are like under 60 against good prospects.
Oh, I'm so in. That sounds amazing.
That would be the way to do it. That'd be the way to build youth talent.
Because Rogan and them were saying like this isn't a world class caliber fight. Like they were saying it on the broadcast,
and they're not wrong
for saying.
They're not wrong though. Like this wasn't a representation of Ultimate Fighting Championship.
It was so bad, bro. But I mean, this division's very bad. I dropped Buday behind Mo Usman, behind Denise, and behind Dontel Mays. You could drop him behind Kyle Machado and Jamal Pose if you want to. It's almost like a who cares. Like I could see himself snoozing to himself the decision over those kind of caliber of guys. Maybe
he should just consider himself lucky he's heavyweight and he is a body, if that makes sense.
He can fog a mirror, right? He can fog a mirror.
Bro, not even that. Like he just has a pulse and he weighs over 205. Like I'm not even gonna lie, no. It's worse than fog a mirror. It's like you could be on a ventilator, but just weigh 207 pounds or more.
Yeah, dude, it's heavyweight's in a rough spot, my guy. But let's keep it pushing to a fight that hats off to you. This is exactly like my Cub Swanson bet, those are both the homie sweat bets of the week, where you did a sprinkle on Carlos Hernandez at plus 320, and you were just like, I don't know that this guy is 3-1 better than my guy, so I'm going to Billy Walters sprinkle this Carlos Hernandez. And you honestly, the ticket doesn't cash, but you, in my opinion, I'll give you your flowers. You come out smelling like roses on this one, bro. Like, nobody on God's green earth was having anything nice to say about Carlos Hernandez. And you were like, hey, like, this guy's not 3-1 better. Like, I'll do a sprinkle. And like I said, ticket doesn't cash, but hats off to you, my friend. Like, I actually respect, like, you had this one a lot more dialed than Vegas or the betting public.
I appreciate that. I truly do. I mean, a lot of it has to do with I'm fading Road to UFC pretty hard. Tyra is like the only guy out of Asia that is worth a shit that we've seen. Hernandez just fought Tyra, got finished by him, but didn't look awful, and it's fucking Tatsuro Tyra who just beat Alex Perez. So, like, I would expect Carlos Hernandez to get finished there, right? Like, that's not beyond expectation. That all being said, he still hasn't looked terrible in his fights. Like, he's had to fight killers. Tsuruya, not a proven fighter in my opinion. This for me was just, like you said, the Billy Walters logic of like, this is closer to like a plus 160, a plus 150, and I'm getting plus 360. I need to get my extra $2 on the chance it wins.
Yeah, man, and like, I mean, round one was a coin flip. I end up, actually, I give Hernandez 3, so Hernandez
I do too.
wins
I do as
3.
well.
Round one's a coin flip, in my opinion. Like, bro, this was a fun homie sweat. Like, shout out to you. Like I said, I mean, I'll kind of turn the floor over to you just because they said you're the one that bet it. Like, but I said I was just at home, like, man, let this motherfucking let Harrison cook here. Like I said, I had round one as a coin flip. I had round 3 to Hernandez. I think Tsuruya clearly won 2, but like. Hernandez competed like a motherfucker. This fight was basically one long scramble. It was a 15-minute long scramble.
How fun was it, too? The scrambles were awesome,
amazing.
Were they not? They got in positions I've never seen in my life before.
This is a fight you show fucking 10-piece McGee at Buffalo Wild Wings that says, like, oh, grappling's boring. Like, this is the fight you show the grappling is boring guy.
Yeah,
right?
Because this shit was crazy. Guys threatening subs in like 50-50 positions that you can't even understand. You're like, wait, whose legs are whose? You can't understand how. Like, there's points where
Joe Rogan's mind was blown, and he's a black belt that's been training jiu-jitsu for like 30 years.
They end the fight like back to back with Hernandez, like straight arm bar almost, and like in shoulder blade to shoulder blade position. I've never seen that in my life. Imagine being back to back with your opponent in a fight for your life. Technically, it's like unheard of type shit. The positions they got to were wild. It was awesome. It was so fun.
Former double champ Daniel Cormier, who specializes in grappling. I get it. It's more wrestling than jiu-jitsu, but still on the mat, right?
I mean, Joe Rogan practiced jiu-jitsu black belt for 20-something years now. He couldn't tell you some of the positions.
like, yeah, like there was a point where DC was like, it's kind of like a twister, but I don't know what to call this. Like seriously, like it was.
Well, and then the one point where Tsuruya was about to leg up a twister, Hernandez like swiveled his hips out from the bottom and like completely reversed the whole position and reset everything, and it was like, this is unbelievable. It was like they were playing chess, but then they would just flip the table whenever they didn't like the position and reset the board real fast.
Yeah, man. I mean, ends up being 29-28. All three judges. I think my scorecard, probably your scorecard, give it 29-28. Ray Tsuruya. I moved Ray Tsuruya up to 30 in my power rankings. I put him right behind Alessandro Costa. He's going to be a very match-make kind of guy. I think he's strictly a grappler, basically. So there are guys who I think maybe could give him trouble, or if he runs into like an Ozat Maxim or
He
one of
feels
these. Like,
he feels like a cheaper version of Brinu Nakamura.
he reminds me of a cheaper version of Tatsuro Taira.
Yeah,
which,
like
I mean,
the
I know it's
cheapest
not very
version. Like
creative.
he'd be like the made in China version of Taira, even though they're both Japanese.
Yeah. Shout out Temu, fucking Tatsuro Taira. But like seriously, like he is like bootleg Tatsuro, right? Like he's just not quite as good. I don't think. Maybe he develops. He's very young. Very young.
Ray Tatsura.
I mean, he looks cool as fuck. He's marketable. Like, high ceiling, like mid floor. Is that fair to say? Like, he's super young. He can get a lot better. Like,
I think super high floor for like how good his wrestling and scrambling is. I just wonder, like, is he going to develop the unknown ceiling but really like solid floor? Is how I see him.
Agreed. But there's guys like Muhammad Makayev who are top 5, top 6 in my power rankings that like kind of have those same question marks, right?
Yeah, 100% agree. I just wonder, because at flyweight, like you saw Hernandez, not a world beater for sure, but like all these guys have good technique, so you got to be
all these guys
so
can
good.
Scramble. All these guys can scramble.
And like that's the difference with Tatsuro Taira, right? Is like he is so good. Like there's levels to it.
See,
He's a different level.
I still have cause for pause on Tatsuro because of the injury, bro. Like
he caused that.
Yeah, even I mean, probably he caused it. Like I'm not 1,000%
elevates the off leg with both of his legs while in a body triangle, and also being able to throw his weight and know that he can control his entire body weight with his core muscles and abs to pull himself back when the pull doesn't work.
Well, and also I do believe Perez has had multiple knee injuries in the past. Like, I don't know. I guess that's my point. Like I don't know if that was Perez's body failing him.
Here's my point: is even if his knee
like,
doesn't blow out,
damage.
even if his knee doesn't blow out, Tyra's on his back with 4 minutes.
Agreed. Like,
and then if he chokes him out in 40 more seconds, then is it levels or
no? It is, but I'm saying woulda, coulda, shoulda, and like Perez has a super injury history.
Yeah,
like
Perez's knee should have stayed healthy, but it couldn't, and he would have maybe survived, but he didn't.
I feel like we're a little off the rails here. Great debut. Well, I don't know. You can argue if it's a great debut, but he gets the win in his debut.
As far as Vegas is concerned, it's not. As far as I'm concerned, a guy that thought Hernandez was a very live dog, this was about what I expected. And Tsuruya looked like a very great grappler.
Like I said about my Cub Swanson pick, it's not like you were fucking losing sleep Saturday night. Like, oh, why did I bet that? You were like, no, I come out smelling like roses.
Now, with that being said, great transition. I love that you said that. I was losing sleep over this next guy. This next guy broke my fucking heart into pieces. Ricky Simone, minus 250, taking on Vinicius Oliveira, plus 205.
No, I'm co-signing all this, bro.
I was losing fucking sleep. Because the Ricky Simone I saw was not the Ricky Simone I bet on. It's not the Ricky Simone I've ever seen fight in the UFC. It's the Ricky Simone that deserves to be opening the prelims. That's what's crazy, is he justified his position on the card. I had a problem with the card placement until he fought.
Dude, I cannot agree more, bro. It's brutal. Like him and Anthony Smith. Like I said, we bust out our shovels each and every week and admit when we're wrong and take it on the chin. Like the Simone and Smith bets. Like Bro, that's not the guy we bet on. Like, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, who the
Like,
fuck is that guy? Like, I don't know who the fuck that guy is. I don't know who this, like, quite literally, man. The wrestling takedown entries looked like dog shit. He tried to strike for 4 minutes. He got a takedown and
Ricky
let him
Simone
up.
forgot how to wrestle.
He got a takedown and let him up. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was mind blowing. It was like he didn't want to win the fight. It was like he got paid to lose the fight. It was like he bet on Oliveira.
It's fucking James Krause in his corner. What's happening here?
Dude.
Just Derek Mitter?
It was crazy. Like I could argue the second round to Ricky Simone, but Oliveira won this fight.
I did give round 2 to Simone, but I have close. I mean, yeah, I could have not given it to him because Oliveira won the significant strikes in round 2.
It was the leg kick check. It was the leg kick check.
The leg kick check was a lot of damage. The slam takedown was nice, even though he didn't really control it. Yeah, I talked myself into giving Simone 2 out of desperation. Call it what you will.
Same. I literally have it 1919, and I was like, a realistic person probably has this 2018, but I have it 1919.
Me too. Yeah, straight up. No, it's crazy, bro. And then, so Vinicius Oliveira gets to the win, cashes at plus 205, kills our parlay on the first fight of the night. Great way to start the night. Fucking felt awesome. And, bro, I had to drop, because that's the thing. It's not like Vinicius Oliveira performed that well. That's another part of this equation. He performed good, but not great. I don't think Vinicius Oliveira looked that good. He got tired.
Do you know what? Do you know how I would best explain it? This is the Vinicius Oliveira I expected to see. This is not the Ricky Simone I expected to see.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. That made it so hard to swallow, bro.
Right.
I'm still coping.
That was what was tough.
I'm sure the comments. I can read the comments now. Cope. I'm coping.
Well, bro,
hard right
because what? Ricky Simone was at 16 in your bantamweight rankings, and Vinicius Oliveira was 47. So this shouldn't have even been close. And realistically, it's Vinicius Oliveira might be 45, but Ricky Simone might be 41.
Yeah, power ranking, bro. You want to talk about being in a bind, trying to power rank this? Because I didn't think Vinicius Oliveira looked that good, but he clearly beat Ricky Simone, who very definitely didn't look good. But also, I think, remember we were talking on the betting episode of, Ricky Simone lost twice in a row, but this is a get-right fight. He's not washed. I think Ricky Simone's washed, bro. 3 in a row. He's washed.
He's washed.
Straight up tied.
Dudes have figured him out. They figured out the feints that freeze him. There's something to it. There's something to it. I haven't figured out the technical piece.
I'm never betting on Ricky Simone again. Right. I mean, maybe if he's fed an actual can, maybe. But, he won't be because he's Ricky Simone. Now, so yeah, power ranking, how did I juxtapose this? I moved Ricky Simone all the way down to 29, which maybe I could go lower than that. And then I put Vinicius Oliveira above him at 28 because, like I said, I didn't think Vinicius Oliveira looked like a world beater. But, for example, I have them both over Taylor Lapilus. I'm real question here. Would you take Taylor Lapilus over both of these guys? I don't know.
I think Oliveira and him close. If we're talking about the version of Simone I just watched, I have that Simone at 35. So I lost.
You put Lapilus over Simone.
Yeah, I directly have him over. Yeah,
doing it because I was literally struggling.
Well, and I have Oliveira at 34. I literally just put them one apart because I think this was the worst we see Ricky Simone and maybe the regular that we see Vinicius Oliveira.
You think they're both below? Would you put Lapilus above Oliveira?
Yeah, I do have him. Yeah. I think he's able to edge that fight out 2 rounds to 1. I think it's close, but I like Lapilus.
Because I legitimately need help here. And then, all right, what about you put Yanez over both of them?
I did. Yeah, that's more of a respect to body of work kind of a thing.
And then this is a guy I see the name, nothing comes to my mind. Daniel Santos, would you rank Daniel Santos above them?
Daniel Santos, yeah. Low-key more dangerous. Yeah. Low-key more dangerous, for sure.
Hey, bro, I'm all ears, man. Like I said, I was struggling here with this power ranking situation. I mean, Davy Grant.
Now, see, now we're getting to Davey Grant,
Yeah.
Ricky Simone. Now I like Vinicius Oliveira out of the three of them, but like I think Ricky Simone, Davey Grant, probably the fight to make. Boring, snoozy, shitty
Probably.
fight, but probably the fight to make.
No, I see. I disagree. I think that's a good fight. I think they'd get after it.
This version of Ricky Simone ain't getting after anybody. I'm so out on Ricky Simone, it's crazy. I'm gonna fade the fuck out of him.
Such a bad performance. Such a bad, and like as a bettor, like I said, man, like if we bet on Ricky Simone and like the best man won, then we would take that on the chin like we always do. But man, Anthony Smith and Ricky Simone, like as Smith and Simone bettors, bro, it's hard not to feel like cheated, robbed. Like,
do you know what Simone lacked that was his number one asset? That is what we bet on him for. I'm speaking for you in this case, but I'm gonna assume it's true. His tenacity, and he had none of it last night. It's the weirdest thing to think about, man. Like he's usually the most tenacious wrestler. Like usually he won't stop wrestling. Like usually he won't stop going for takedowns, throwing 1-2-3s and shooting. Usually he's a Merab style fighter. If Merab lost his tenacity, he can't beat anyone. That's the same as Ricky Simone.
Yeah, 1,000%. I co-sign it. Yeah, we're gonna be off next week. We got Namajunas Cortez going down in Denver, which that's a pretty comparable replacement. I thought Holland Cannonier was going to replace it. I don't know what happened to that. I was reading online that it was going to be Holland Cannonier, but then I guess they booked Tracy Cortez and pushed that down the road, or I don't know. But
yeah, no, I know. And then also I was going to say Namajunas, it's homecoming for her because she obviously fights out of Denver. So
home game for sure. I'll say I haven't seen the money line yet, but. I did a quick look ahead, and Petrosky's fighting Josh Fremd, and I like Petrosky a lot. I don't like Petrosky a lot, but against Josh Fremd, I like about anybody. So I don't know what that number is, but we'll do a betting episode in about 10 days or so. We'll get you ready for it.
If you want to know just off top, it's Petrosky minus 125, Fremd plus 105.
I'm going to have to get an early ticket in. Bro, like Fremd is very, very bad.
Also,
Petrosky's a koozie. Like,
also, call me crazy. Cody Brundage plus 135. Abdul Razak Al Hassan minus 160. Brundage
clear path to victory.
Brundage better
clear path to victory there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, very dude. The odds are interesting. Like we got to get tickets in ASAP for some of these fights.
Should we do an early betting episode? Like, before they try to snag some value?
Bro, we might have to because C-Rod minus 250 over Julian Erosa. I kind of love that as a parlay piece.
See, I saw somebody else really like that, like one of the online betting accounts, and it's like I have them power ranked like 2 spots apart. So, like, I kind of like the value on Erosa. I don't know. That might be a no bet for me.
I could be talked into it, but then also Viviane Araujo plus 140 against Jasmine Vicious.
Oh, we froze up. We got to wrap it up. We froze up. Let's just wrap it up.
We'll wrap it.